Howdy ho, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and I hope everybody's having a good week, or will have a good week. Had a great weekend. We did. We had a really good weekend. We got to find lots of fun stuff out at the beach, and we'll be sharing that with you guys later on. So my guest tonight is Keith Ottersberg. I've had him on before. So I hope you guys will enjoy him. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. He says he's an open book. We're going to find out. So, hello, Keith.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. I was actually asked to ask you to come on by Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher. So that's why you were asked. Besides the fact that I was going to ask you anyway at some point to come back on, but I didn't know that you were involved in her film until she told me.
I was involved in her film. It's called 1 in 6 million. I don't know how many details I can go into because she's just slowly letting things out. She's in control of that.
Yes.
So I can't go into detail about what it's about and whatnot.
She went into some detail about that, and it wasn't much. So we're going to leave. I'm going to refer everyone back to the show with Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher a few weeks ago. If you want to know more, Keith played a role in that. And so what role did you play?
I was the cutter. I was the villain.
The picture on your Facebook page did very much look like a villain, somebody I'd be scared of. If I didn't know you anyway.
There was a couple times I pulled out the old me to get a certain look. Because I still remember who I was back then. I remember the thoughts that used to go through my head back then. And so I let a little bit of that out and let the base Scorpio out a little bit. And I nailed a couple of them.
So did you enjoy it?
I did. I had fun. It was an awesome experience. She rented a cabin. We went up there. We did this in a weekend with an idea, no script. We just got through it. We all came up with ideas. We all shared ideas, and we made it happen. So hopefully it's everything we think it's going to be.
Well, anyway. I'm excited to see what she's going to be sharing at the opening. At the opening, we can't be there, so we'll have to wait until after that to find out what she's sharing. But I did mention some things to her about possibly having it digital, not, because computers these days don't have CD right. players and DVD players anymore, or DVRs. So I don't have any way to watch it. So we've talked about that.
You got to buy an external one and hook it up.
Out of money.
I hear you.
And I know you do. I know you know about that.
Oh yeah.
But how? When you were approached by Cheryl Ann, did you just go, sure, why not? Or did you go, why?
I actually agreed to it right away. I've been trying to step out of my comfort zone a little more. At one time, I would have just said no due to fear. But my brain started to go there, and I'm like, no, take a pause. Think about this while you're talking to her. Originally, it was just to help film it. Mm-hmm. I bought a used movie digital camera from a friend of mine. He filmed, I don't remember what show it was, but one of the seasons of one of the paranormal shows with it. And he upgraded, so he gave me a pretty good deal on this. And so I bought it. And the way it worked out, the person who was supposed to play my character started having some health issues. So she found somebody else to film, and I stepped into the role. So I've always wanted to be in a movie. I've always wanted to act. I've always wanted to, it was on my bucket list. Here's your chance, dude. Do it. The only thing you can do is learn. You're not going to fail. You're going to learn. So let's do it. So I did it.
Well, I'm hoping that it's a huge success.
Me too.
It can't not be. I mean, that's the thing. It can't not be a huge success because you guys, when you put your heart and soul in it and people know that, I think it makes a bigger difference than it does when somebody's getting paid to do it. And you guys didn't get paid.
What's that?
You guys did it. Just did it.
Yeah. I did it for the experience and to help Cheryl. She's a good friend of mine. And I had a blast doing it. I'm glad I did not say no. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Bill, Renee. How y'all doing? I squirreled. I squirrel a lot, so be patient with me. Like I said, it was a blast. We went up there and did the thing, and the guy who filmed it, Eric, he did the editing with it. He had a drone. We got some amazing footage, and I think it's going to be okay. I have seen some movies that have won awards, at these film festivals and whatnot. And I'm sitting back going like, I don't know if I can watch 10 minutes of this, so I think we got something.
I think you did. Cheryl Ann spent a little bit of time telling me all about it and swore me to secrecy on stuff. So needless to say, the stuff that I heard is amazing. And I'm going to tell everybody, if you want to find out about it, you're going to have to buy it, because that's the only way you're going to hear it from me is after I buy it and I watch it, and then it's open season once
there
it's
you
out.
Go. Yeah, so, we're having a promotion or the premiere. That's the word I'm looking for. Premiere on October 1st. It is at 1:00. Doors open up at 12:30 at the Jojo Theater in Lincoln, Nebraska. We will be there. She will be selling copies of the DVDs, Blu-ray discs, and if anybody wants an autograph, we will be there to sign them for you. And then if you can't make it there and you want to purchase it, I don't remember how much they are. They're not much, but you can message her directly and she will set you up.
And I suggested you do message her directly.
Yes.
And not only that, check out Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher's book as well. But like I said, if you want more information about what we're talking about, go back to a couple weeks ago when I had the Paranormal Pride and Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher was on. And you can find it on the Paranormal Pride page. And you can find out more about what she was willing to share at that time before the film opening. And
I have that book. Be right back.
Okay. So I would like to say hi to everybody in the chat. And Howie, I would love to talk to you someday. I see you out there all the time on Facebook and stuff. I'd love to talk to you. So if you want to reach out to me and let me, tell me what dates you have available, let me know. So, and
we thought the movie was going to be about her book.
No, we originally thought that Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher's movie was going to be about her book.
Yeah, it was,
and about the things in her life that had happened. And when we found out it wasn't, we were really shocked.
Yeah. So I had that book. I have it somewhere. I just don't know where it is right now, but I do have it. Her book is about the paranormal, how it ties in with schizophrenia. She did a lot of research to get this thing out, and I haven't had time to dig into it yet, but I really want to.
It's called Raw.
Yeah. My grandmother on my dad's side was diagnosed with schizophrenia because she heard voices and was put in a mental asylum. So I'm really looking forward to digging in that. I've just been a little busy.
Well, you're okay. That's one thing that I said in my thing, that you're always busy. You are never sitting still. So I'm lucky to get you sitting still for 5 seconds. And
if I take a night for myself to where I need to sit down and rest, that's what I'm doing. I'm not on my phone. I'm generally on my couch, sitting outside, me time. It's just me. So yeah, guys, like what you were saying about your grandmother, that was one of the things that my mom told me when I told her
stuff that I saw. 1975, you're going to end up in the nut house, is what my mom said.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to think you're crazy. So you didn't talk about it.
No.
You never talked about what you saw to other people. And you knew what the nut house was when you were 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's bad when you have a fear of someplace that, how should you even know what it is?
Yeah.
But, that's something that, at least I never thought I was nuts. The stuff that I saw and I heard, I never thought I was nuts. But
there was a while
where other people would judge it.
Yeah. There was actually a while where I wondered. I was getting ready to go see a doctor. But there was a lot of other things involved in that. Gaslighting by a certain individual, a lot involved. But guess what? I'm not nuts, at least in that way.
Well, totally. I think, in all honesty, we're all a little nuts.
The best people are.
Yeah. And, if we weren't all a little nuts, this would be a really boring place to live.
Yes, it would. But, getting back to the fact, said, you didn't talk about it. When I had my first paranormal experience at 6 years old, that traumatized the hell out of me. I didn't tell anybody, that night I tried to tell Mom, it's right there. It's trying to get me. She didn't see it, walked right through it. And, the rest, as they say, is history. But from then on, I didn't talk about it until it got bad enough to where I had to start reaching out to paranormal teams to come in and try and help me.
And that's how your house ended up being on Dead Files, right?
Yes. Did
you reach out to the show, or did the show reach out to you?
No, I reached out to the show over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get them to come. Reason being, they vet their clients very well. They don't want to spend all that money going to somebody's house if that person is having issues or hallucinating due to, psychedelics, what have you. They got to be sure what they got going on. And I get that. But I finally got them to agree to come, and then the activity stopped for months. And, we're still in contact and whatnot. And they're like, hey, your activity's not happening anymore. We got, a couple families with kids. I'm like, go. Those kids are important. Go do those. In the meantime, the activity started to slowly ramping up. It got worse again. I got a hold of them again. Hey, this is it. It's going on. And the director that I had been in contact with got transferred to a different show, so I had to start all over. But I did finally get him here, and it was a process because at that time I was on city council, believe it or not, and they reached out to the city council, to the library, to different businesses in town. Hey, we want to use the library to film. We want to use this place to film. They said no. And I had to, try to get them convinced of this without them knowing that the Dead Files is coming to my house.
Because you're not allowed to tell anyone anything.
No.
Oh, I know.
It's not. I had to sign non-disclosure agreements and everything else. I could not say to anybody.
I know that part. That sucks.
Yeah. So when they finally came and, everybody saw that they were set up at my house, I was like, how did you do that? Like, it wasn't easy, let me tell you.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people had a lot of issues with, was the fact that they did not film, at a library in Wymore. They did not film at a bar in Wymore. They used Lincoln. That's where they were staying at the hotel. That's where the airport was. So they were close. That's what they used. If anybody's still got a problem with that, go talk to city council.
Yeah. So David Glidden, and David, you are not sane. You are probably the most insane person I know. So he asked, how did that process go when they did come?
Okay. Steve came first. Came in, talked to me, introduced. had the production crew with him, kind of explained how actually the producer came first. Get everything set up. It took me a solid 2 weeks straight of using duct tape to cover up logos. I had so many things in my house, in my garage, in my basement, no logos could show. So black sheets to cover, shelves, just individual. I'm still finding tape on things, even though I had a fire. I'm still finding tape on stuff out in the garage. I found a piece of it a couple weeks ago, and I just had to giggle. But so that procedure is done. That's when they film him going through, turning pictures around and then, leaving the house. Then Steve came and he did his research. I got introduced to him, and then they started filming here. And it was really interesting when we were filming. They are not used to having activity happen while they are filming. It is very rare and usually very minimal. So we're filming out in the garage. And this is one of the things I told them that happened. It sounded like somebody dumped a box of wrenches in the other bay. And the entire film crew just froze. And Steve's like, "What the was that?" I'm like, I gave you everything that happens here. That's what happens. And he's like, "Were you guys filming?" "No." And I'm like, they're still free. They're frozen. I'm like, "Come on, guys, this stuff happens. Let's keep this going before I lose my motivation to do this, And then when we were in the basement, again, they didn't catch it on camera, but we're standing at the bottom of the stairs. Me and Steve are talking. He's asking me questions and whatnot. And I literally get scratched on my neck at that time, right in front. Again, they froze, like, this is really happening. I'm like, yeah, this is why I have you people here. So, there's a few cool things that happen. Me and Steve ended up watching the Steelers game on the couch. That was pretty cool. He's a Steelers fan. And I thought
I don't know why. But see, again, one of the football players this weekend said it was actually The Rock said something about that he's genetically can't root for this one team. And I'm like, well, that's funny Florida. Because, for Florida. And for us, for me, I can never, ever root for anything in Pennsylvania because I'm from Maryland. It was born in me, and I don't know why, but I hate almost everything Pennsylvania, except for Philly cheesesteaks.
Well, there you go.
And tasty cakes.
I'm not a big football fan, but I do like the Steelers. So I think it's just because of the black and gold uniforms when I was a kid, and it's just stuck. So
in Nebraska, though.
Well, we got the Huskers. We try to watch the Huskers.
You don't have a football team.
Ron goes, you don't have a football team. But neither does Chicago, so don't feel bad.
A bit.
It used to be good.
So
let's just say a lot of beer gets drained during Nebraska football games.
Oh, yeah.
So, I knew that you guys had watched the football game together. I remember you telling me that. So did your problem get resolved through the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's something I'm actually going to get into. All the paranormal teams that I had come investigate, both in my home in Beatrice, in my home here, we moved because of the activity. Mm-hmm. And it started happening here. And that's something that they didn't want to hear because they were concentrating on this house.
Yeah.
And they kept telling me, you got to move. You got to move. I'm like, no, I ain't moving.
Yeah.
And, Steve was even like, you're willing to give up your marriage to stay here? I'm like, dude, it keeps following. If we move, it's going to happen again. I'm sitting here. I'm fighting. I am going to win this. And I did. Shannon left. That was probably the best thing happened at that time. It was rough, but Shannon was my wife at that time. We got everything resolved. We're friends. We discussed things afterwards. We're good. But the one person that figured out what the problem was Amy. We were sitting right in that room over there, mm-hmm. at a table I still have upstairs. that they bought specifically for the show. They left it here. She came down the stairs and looked at me, and the look of horror on her face scared the hell out of me. And at that time, I knew what the problem was.
Yeah.
Yours truly. And so she got a hold of a group called the Spirit Mechanics in Lexington, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. How soon can you get up here? How soon you need us? Now. So they got up here and came in, did the thing. They cleared the property outside. They cleared the house. And then Steve cleared me. And then it was a battle to not reinvite things back in and to learn how to protect my home. They give aftercare, and they taught me a lot. In fact, I am now a member of their team. I did their 2-year probation period, helped on cases. I've helped on 2 dead files cases, which was really rewarding. Successful. We gave those families their lives back, and I'm so appreciative of getting the chance to do that. Because I got the help. I got to help others, pay it forward. So it's been a heck of a journey. I've learned a lot, and people ask me now, is your house still haunted? I don't lie. So I got to kind of say, yeah, because I've got my spirit guides here, my angels, my protectors. There is paranormal activity here, but normally it's my guides messing with me. Hey, there's a pen flowing across the room. You need to sit down and start on your book. I know. Give me a minute. It's just that kind of stuff. They'll give me reminders. It's all right here. It's peaceful. People walk in here, and there's like, it's so light in here. Like, yeah, it is.
Well, I remember talking to you after. I had known that I knew that you were on because you had shared that you guys were going to be on. It hadn't aired yet, but it was right around the time that it was going to air that you were allowed to say something.
Yeah.
And I said to you, and I know you probably remember this, I said, I'd like to have you on to talk about it. And you said, I'll let you know when I can. Mm-hmm. And you did. And it was about 10 months later.
Yeah, I had to wait so long as per the contract before I could start publicly speaking about it on shows and whatnot.
So would you say that it was a positive experience for you being on Dead Files?
Absolutely.
Because I know someone else who said it wasn't for them.
For me, absolutely it was. At the time, there were times where I was questioning because I was here by myself, which I'd never lived alone before in my life. And I figured out one of my biggest fears was being alone while getting bombarded and attacked by things I could not see. Physically, mentally, you name it. So waiting for them to get here was a process in itself. Getting through the filming was a process. But overall, it was a very positive experience for me. The film crew was amazing. Steve, Amy, the producers were amazing. They did not ask me to lie about anything. They said to be completely honest. I love that fact. I had the chance to be on a couple of other paranormal shows. I'm not going to name them. But they wanted to hand me a script. No, this is my story. You want me to talk about it? I'll talk about it. You're not going to make stuff up for ratings. Mm-hmm. And eventually they were adamant about me lying about stuff. Like, no, ain't happening. I don't care how much you want to pay me. I'm not doing it.
No. And I'll tell you, I'm still pissed to this day that Ghost Adventures changed the words. The words did come out of my mouth, but not in the order that they were.
Yeah.
And it still pisses me off to this day.
You sign contracts. They have total control over what they put in there.
Right. And I didn't get paid. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I never got paid for anything I ever did at the Sally House. Ever.
Nope. I didn't get paid financially. What I got paid in is help and assistance. I got my life back. I got my health back. I got my mental health back. And I learned. I got knowledge and wisdom about what's out there. And now I'm able to help other people with it. So in a way, I got rich.
Yeah.
But I didn't make a dime. I didn't do it to make money. I did it to get help. And
no, I agree. I think you got some really good information from all the people that you got to be involved with. In my case, all it got me was nudes in my Facebook, and then the good things that I got out of it was all the friends that I've made in the paranormal sense.
Yes.
You know, and I have made lots of friends. And I mean, people, I mean, like you, if I walked out the door and I saw you, I'd know who you are.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, Facebook friends, yes, they're wonderful, but until you meet them face to face, or at least video chat to video chat,
yeah,
you don't know who those people are.
Right. You got to be able to read their energy. They got to be able to read yours. You know, hear your voice, see your expressions, your mannerisms. You know, it's communication.
Well, it's the personal knowledge of that person.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like David and Cassie, I know them very well. I can walk up to them and start having a conversation. I don't have to sit there and act like I'm, you know, like I don't know them or whatever. You know, I can be the scatterbrained Denise that I am. I don't have to be professional. You know? So, you know, I keep that in mind. But, you know, there's other people that I haven't met personally yet that I may not feel as comfortable with.
Right.
And, you know, and I know you're the same way. I mean, even though we're always who we are, I mean, I'm going to be this person that you see in front of you all the time.
Yeah.
I just may be a little quieter when you first meet me.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, I don't want to say I'm shy when you first meet me, but I'm cautious. I'll say I'm cautious. And I saw that comment, Renee, and right back at you and saying, thank you for that. Hey, Gail, I'm cautious when I meet new people. Main reason being I don't see or hear red flags. I'm getting better at it, but I got to study you for a while. I got to read you for a while. The reason I don't see red flags is because red flags throughout my entire life were my normal. That's my normal. So I'm a little more cautious on who I let into my life now. It takes longer for me to allow somebody into my life now. You know, I know a ton of people on Facebook. I have a ton of people, you know, in the paranormal, life coaching, etc. But until I meet you and get to know you, I'm probably not going to trust you too far. You know, there are people on here that I've trusted, and then I see doing this and say, I will not be a part of that. You know, sorry, gone. You know, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what, but, you know, I've seen some individuals that I have on my friends, you know, Facebook friends list that, you know, did some pretty sketchy stuff. And
I agree. You
want to be associated with those people.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else, but I do have have morals that I live by, and I don't expect everybody else to live by them, and I'm not going to judge them, but I'm not going to be part of it.
That, you know, I've always had morals, but back then, you know, before I got my help, I didn't always care about having morals, and sometimes they went right out the window. So I got what I wanted. Now, no, I stand up for what I believe in first.
Some of the things that you're saying, it's making me think of a good friend of mine. And did you make a deal with the devil, or were you doing stuff that made it seem like you did?
I didn't make a deal with the devil. What I did was accidentally enter a contract, which I didn't know about, with a demonic entity. When I say demon, that's exactly what I mean. That is what Steve pulled out. It was not, you know, a human spirit attached to me that was acting demonic. This thing was it. that night that I had that paranormal experience, Mom told me to go back to sleep. I crawled underneath my covers. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. And I heard something. You don't have to be. I'm like, cool. Okay. That was it. That was it. That thing was with me from 6 years old to 5 years ago, when the spirit mechanics came. So I'm still getting to know myself. I am slowly becoming the person I was meant to be instead of the person I became. So I am literally still getting to know myself. I am still getting memories back, because when Steve pulled that thing out of me, I lost 3/4 of my life. I couldn't remember. Literally could not remember it. Didn't remember my childhood. Didn't remember my kids being born. I woke up thinking I was 20 years back. I'm in the wrong house. I mean, it was a process to adjust to not having that thing in me. And then not having any activity here. No noises, no voices, not getting physically attacked, nothing. It was lonely as hell.
Was it lonely in a good way?
No.
No?
I didn't think so at the time.
Okay.
Now I see it was. I mean, I faced my fear of being alone. I don't mind being alone. Now I live alone. I'm okay. Do I get lonely at times? Yeah. Would I like some human companionship here? Share my life with me? Yeah, at times. At other times, I'm perfectly good here, doing my thing. But it was a process to make that change. I was sitting here constantly, always waiting for something to happen. And that is almost inviting something back in, so it does happen. So I had to be very cautious. Steve and the mechanics helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like taking, my body, both my physical body and my spiritual body, were used to that energy of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it's gone. And I had to make that adjustment. It's like pulling, cocaine from an addict, saying you can never have this again. They know it's probably for their best life,
mm-hmm.
but they want it back.
When you say Steve,
yeah,
okay, most of our brains, because we're talking about Dead Files, go to Steve DeShavi.
Oh yeah,
Steve. Who are you talking about? Can you say?
Yeah, Stephen Smith. He's the founder of the Spirit Mechanics.
Okay, so that's important to know that it was, because Steve DeShavi swears up and down he's never had a paranormal experience, and it's like,
well, he did here.
I know he won't admit it. He won't admit it because he's been on multiple shows since then. He always says never.
Yes.
So we'll just keep it at that. So Tony asks, do you think that some people have made a pact with the devil and not realize it?
Oh, absolutely. But I don't, when you say make a deal with the devil, I think of this differently than a lot of other people do. A lot of people disagree with me, adamantly say I'm wrong, I'm crazy. I don't care. This is my opinion. I work with one up there and I work with one down there. Lucifer, Samael, is not the devil. He is in charge of hell. It's his job to make sure the demons stay where they're put, make sure the devil, which is an entity, but it's not him, stays locked up, doesn't get back up here. If that happens, it's literally hell on earth. So I help Michael. I help him. And if something gets up here that's not supposed to be, I get it. And I'm like, which one of you two wants this? Okay, here you go. They have a job to do. So everybody looks at it according to the Bible. Everybody thinks Lucifer, Samael, the light bringer, is an evil entity. He's got a job to do. Just like Michael's got a job to do. Just like when I go to work, I got a job to do. When I go on a case, I got a job to do. What am I doing? I'm reaping. I'm being a reaper when I go into a case. Because if there's this human spirit here, guess what? I need to talk it into going to where it needs to go. That's what a reaper does. Here, we're going here.
Mm-hmm.
takes your soul to wherever it needs to go. So in a way, that's what we do when we go on these cases and we assist these spirits, because the living aren't the only clients in that case. Sometimes there are spirits that are stuck here and don't want to be stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
So they are also clients. So we help them as well. And some things just need to be taken out, and we will hear that. What do you want done? Get rid of it. All right. That's not supposed to be here. Get rid of it. Cool.
How do you tell a difference between the ones that are supposed to be here and the ones that aren't?
You can generally feel the difference in the energy. Sometimes it's just something that's being an a-hole. Sometimes it's a fae that is disgruntled because its land got disgraced. So you have a conversation with it. You figure out what it wants to be appeased. Maybe it's an offering once a year. Maybe it is to have the family plant a tree for it. There's different things you can do sometimes. And not everything big, bad, and scary looking is evil. There are protectors that look big, bad, and nasty, and they got a job to do. They are protecting an item. They are protecting a piece of land. So you have to be mindful of that. We had one entity that looked like this big, huge fireball demonic thing. Everybody and their brother thought it was a demon. It wasn't. It was a native spirit that had been burned, and it was still on fire. So, the elements, wind, earth, fire. I do Reiki, so I sent water energy to the spirit, and the next thing I know, there is this soaking wet Native American spirit staring at me with long black hair, going, "How'd you do that?" He just looked at me like, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, "There you go. Here's the door. You go where you need to be." And he kind of nodded his head and walked through. That's all. He just needs some help.
Mm-hmm.
But if
there's a lot of that out there
for hundreds of years, you're going to be kind of ticked off too. Yep. So you got to figure out what you're dealing with, and then take a step back and figure out how to deal with it. What is the best case of action? And if you don't know what you're dealing with, your best bet might be to back out and do some investigating to figure out what you're dealing with, so because if you don't, it can get dangerous, and you can make things worse for not only yourself but the clients as well. And if you don't know what it is, if you don't know how to deal with it, it's okay to ask for help. Hey, we got this thing. We don't know what it is. Can have you guys, as your team, ran into this? It's all right to ask for help.
Yep. That's one of the things that I tell everybody. You better go in prepared to take care of it and not make it worse.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're going to make it, that you can't do it, don't do it, and call somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you going to call? You're going to call somebody who may know more than you.
Yes.
And learn something from it.
If you have an issue with your car and you can't figure it out, what do? You take it to a mechanic. You find somebody that has a little bit more mechanical ability than you, and say, "Hey, I got this issue." You walk in a parts store. I don't know what I need. This is what's happening. Okay, you need this. Cool. How do I fix it? This is how you do it. Cool. Okay, thank you.
And what's bad is that there is no book on how to fix these situations, because every situation is different. It doesn't matter how similar the situation is. The solution may be different every single time.
Absolutely. You can have similar situations on 5 different cases, and it's something different on every one.
Are you still working cases?
We haven't. My team, Cobra Paranormal, has kind of taken a hiatus. Me with the fire, rebuilding my home, having to go back to work, health issues with a couple of other members, work schedules. So we just kind of took a break. So we're not actually taking full on cases and going and taking care of things. We are kind of helping individuals when we have a little bit of extra time. Michelle might help somebody. I may help somebody. Renee may help somebody. Renee's a member of my team. She's watching tonight. And if we need help, hey, this is what's going on. What you see? Cool, thanks. But we're not going out and looking for cases. We're not taking any major cases on. If I do find a major case, I'll generally reach out to Steve. Hey, you guys want this? The spirit mechanics. Once we get back on track a little bit, and we are getting there, we'll probably start taking cases on it yet. But right now we're just kind of supporting people, on Facebook, my lives on the Otter's Den, helping people that way. And we're doing what we can with what we got. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you got to have your own cup full before you can help other people. And with the way our lives have been going last couple of years, it's been a little difficult keeping our cups full, but we're getting there.
So when you talk about darn fly,
you got a gnat? I got
fly. It just flies down here are horrible. But when your house burned down,
yeah,
did you think that it was brought on by something supernatural?
I knew there was a physical cause.
Okay.
However, I did feel there was something that had something to do with that physical cause. Now, when I say that, at first I was quite angry because the house had been cleared. There was not supposed to be anything here that would do something like that. I was confused. I was traumatized by my loss. I was trying to keep my sanity together. It was a very rough time in my life. After I got single again, shortly after that, I really sat down, and we found the cause of the fire. The fire marshal, they couldn't find it, so they were accusing me of setting my house on fire for insurance purposes. I kept telling them I felt it was electrical. And I kept, they sent the head fire marshal down. It's electrical. It started in the basement. I can show you where it started. It's electrical. He didn't believe me. So he comes in, rummages around. Like, I found where the fire started. I'm like, yeah, me too. Why don't you come in and investigate with me? I'm like, okay. He's like, what do you think it was? Well, you see that wire laying there on the floor? It used to be right here. Whoever put the heater in, the floor joists. Here, let me see if I can show you. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm sitting on. That's in the basement. And they just ran a piece of sheet metal along that for the cold air return. Well, they pinched the doorbell wire. It is a low voltage wire. It's 24 volts out of a transformer. But every time that heater and AC unit kicked on, it vibrated that. Over time, it wore through the insulation on the wires, sparked. A spark went on the inside of it, ignited the dog hair, cat hair, lint that had been building up for years in there, and whoosh. That was it. And so he got to looking at it, and he's like, he peeled back the metal, the sheet metal, and there was a piece of the wire. He's like, you're right. I told you. He goes, how'd you know? I'm like, I just knew.
Yeah.
So then they did not blame me for starting the fire, which was a good thing, because then I was able to get my insurance money, which I got scammed out of eventually, but I had enough to get my home livable.
Is it cold in there in the winter?
No, actually.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to get at. Thank you for unsquirreling my mind.
Okay.
For a while, I thought this fire was a curse. I had to sit in the dark for a long time, both in the rental and once I finally got moved back in. Once I got a floor and a toilet and shower and sink in the basement, I moved back in.
Yeah, I remember you showing pictures, because I think the last time I had you on, you had just gotten, you showed a picture from the door, and it was the cavernous cellar.
Yeah.
With some things in it.
Yeah.
And you were just getting some of the stuff on the walls.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Once I got through my dark night of the soul, sitting in my dark, looking for my light, this fire was a blessing. It was actually a blessing, not a curse. It was a blessing. For one, the house had no insulation. It was a thin furring strip, plaster lath, and plaster. No insulation.
And wasn't your house a prairie box?
A what?
A prairie box house?
Prairie box house.
That's what they call the square houses, 2-story.
Oh, okay. It's a 2-story cut stone home.
Okay.
It's actually a Sears home. You walk.
Oh, okay. So craftsman home.
Yeah, Sears. You look through floor plans. Said this is what I want. You went to the architect. Said I need these changes. They made the house, shipped it up on rail. They unloaded it, brought it up on horse and buggy, and built it. But they used a lot of recycled materials. So the contractor that did this kind of screwed whoever they built it for. I found that out when I tore everything out of here. But this place was a tinderbox waiting to go up anyway. It was supposed to have all new wiring in it when I bought it. Where you could see the wiring, it was new. Where you could not see the wiring, it was still the old knob and tube. Wires twisted together. They had arced. The wood had burned. It should have went up already. The way the fire happened, we weren't here. If that wouldn't have happened and one of the other wires would have ignited it, I might have been here.
Something else that just came to mind.
Yeah.
Was you had a bunch of unshielded wire in your house.
Yes.
Which means it had a lot of EMF, which could have fueled a lot of the spirits in your house.
Yes. Yeah, a little thing about knob and tube wiring. You got a positive and you got a neutral. You're negative. Okay. One's over here and one's over here. So you got this power going this way, this power going that way, nothing to shield it. So you have a lot of EMF coming off of it. Now, when you have the wires together in insulated, wiring, modern wiring, that cancels each other out a lot. Mm-hmm. But you still get EMF from it.
Yeah, just not as bad.
Right. Every wire in my home, I rewired my entire house. Every wire in my home, except for a couple, because I ran out of conduit, but I'll get those in it. Every wire will be in steel conduit. That blocks the rest of the EMF. I did a lot of studying on that. And yeah. So when you got knob and tube wiring, the EMF is off the chart.
We had this, so in the Sally house, unshielded wire throughout the whole damn thing. Mm-hmm. And when you would tell people that, they would go, really? And I go, yeah. So your EMF detectors aren't really going to help you much because you're going to have EMF. I mean, it's not telling you that there's a ghost. It's telling you that they need to rewire the damn house.
Yeah. You set your EMF meter on the floor in the middle of a room. You could still be near a wire going through that floor somewhere and picking it up.
Yeah. Well, if you were in the nursery and you had the light on in the kitchen downstairs, you had high EMF in the nursery.
Yeah.
So
that's how they wired.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things where it's like, I can just sit there and laugh at
upstairs hall light.
The hall light. Yeah.
Master bedroom.
Yep.
Closet.
Yep. If you had the hall light on in the hallway, the closet in the master would be extremely high in EMF. So, but again, it was stuff that over time you realize when you're there 7 years and you're going through all this. If you're just there one night, you don't have time to figure out what's going on.
No, you don't. You may catch some evidence, but you're not going to figure out what the cause is.
No. Or what you think is truly evidence and it's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
one of the investigators from one of the teams that came, over here, their EMF meter went off the charts. Oh, I got to see it. No, it's a refrigerator. Mm-hmm. That's in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, it's the refrigerator. So they went around into the kitchen, and it was the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. The EMF from the fridge was coming through the wall.
Well, that's where the back of it is. You know,
if you think about it, that's where a lot of people have a lot of issues is in their kitchen. They have their stove, their microwave, their refrigerator, coffee pot, blender, what have you, all plugged in. And you're standing there doing dishes in the middle of all this, and you get lightheaded. You start getting a headache. You start getting dizzy. You start hallucinating. You start hearing things. That's EMF.
It's because you really don't want to be there. Well, you really don't want to be doing dishes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's a thing. EMF can cause physical ailments to the point where you go down. There's EMF poisoning. It's a thing. You know, when you're around it so much. I work in a factory now, and we have 32 plastic injection machines. These things are huge. They run on 480 volts a piece. Mm-hmm. The EMF in that place is off the charts. I can feel it pulling into the parking lot. So it is difficult for me to be in there. But, you know, through energetic shielding, shungite, that helps reduce, radiation. It's a stone. I get through it. But I am very happy when I get to walk out of that building.
I bet. I remember I still work for a similar company, but I used to work for Sprint. And they would take us up. We had to go up on the roof because we were moving all the microwave towers. Okay. We had to move them from where the headquarters was to where the headquarters was going. And the microwave antennas, my God, those things just you don't stand in front of them because you're going to get zapped. You're going to die. Mm-hmm. But you could feel the energy coming off of those, and it didn't make you feel like you wanted to be there.
Right.
RF is another thing that creates a lot of weird feelings.
Yeah.
And people don't even realize it. I mean, your cell phone can put off a lot more RF than you think, especially the older ones.
Yeah. I've actually got a shungite disc on the back of my phone. To help shield from that. It actually does help to shield from it. I'm going to get a big piece of shungite and put it in my toolbox at work. Everybody's going to look at me like I'm nuts. I'm like, yeah, come stand over here. You won't think I'm nuts.
Yeah, you'll feel a lot better. So we've got a little bit more time. And I want to make sure that we can tell everybody. So the Otter's Den, that's your show, and it's still going, right?
Yes.
What days are your show?
I do it every other Monday with Joni Skinner. She is an astrologer, and so she reads what's going on up there, and I add in the spirituality as to why this is happening, and we let you all know why this is happening to you at this time, what this retrograde is supposed to help you with, what this planet in this, that's going RX in this degree, what that means, what house is going to hit you in. Go look at your chart, look at that house. This is what it's going to affect you mainly by. But, like we just got through with like seven planets in retrograde at the same time. The eclipse, is coming up. You got to figure these planets work with or against each other while they're in retrograde. So it's difficult figuring it out. And I used to detest retrogrades. I used to detest when Mercury retrograde was retrograde. Because I would get hit with things from my past. Same cycles would come up. It was not easy. Well, once I finally learned that maybe if I stop and look through this, if I pick it apart, figure out why it happened back then so I don't do it again, or put myself in the same situation, I might learn something. Maybe it won't come back up again. It made it much more simple to deal with that. If you learn what that planet does in retrograde, how it helps you. It doesn't do things to you. It is trying to help you. And once you get that established up here, thank you. it makes it a lot easier to handle and understand.
Okay, and I'm going to do this. Okay. I don't know enough about astrology, numerology, any of those things to be of any use to anybody other than I know that I'm a Gemini and I have two minds about everything. I can see everything from multiple points of view.
I know enough to be dangerous. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I know a little about astrology. I know a little bit numbers. I use numbers on cases to figure things out and solve things. I would use numbers to figure out what lane I need to be in running down the highway. I use numbers to when I need to slow down. And sure enough, there's a speed trap up there. Mm-hmm. It's, like I said, I use numbers to help people to get hints about what's going on.
So when you do your show, do you guys have a person that you're giving this information to? Like, hey, Denise is this. What should we be telling her to be looking for? Or is it just in general, this is, if you're a Gemini and a Leo, you guys should be doing this? And
both. We'll do it both ways. Sometimes we just do it, what we're talking about at the time. If somebody comes on and says, hey, this is what I am, how's this going to affect me? Joni will look at it, and I'll chime in a little bit. So our main objective is to help people through everything and understand and, what they can expect for the next couple of weeks. And then if I have other guests, I'll do those on the off Mondays. Like if I had you on or somebody, or, like I've had some life coaches on, stuff like that. Words are hard. Self-help people on. And I keep saying it. I want to try and get more guests like that on, but I just have not had the time.
That's why I took as much time off as I did between April and August.
Yeah.
First off, with the move, moving from Kansas to Florida is huge.
Yep.
Sometimes moving across the street is huge, but this was a major life change for both me, Ron, and our adult children, because our adult children moved with us as well.
Gotcha.
And so it's been a huge change. So I didn't want to come in here and start half-assing my show. Yeah,
you want to be prepared.
Yeah, I didn't feel prepared, and now Cheryl Ann was my first guest when I came back, and that was good. And I wanted, I want to have on some of those new guests that I've never had on before, the self-help and the, just because it says paranormal doesn't mean that it has to be paranormal.
Yeah. And I started out just paranormal,
and
I have branched out to astrological. And like I said, it's just, I want to help people. You want to talk about cryptids, maybe I'll have a person on there talking about Bigfoot. Maybe I'll have a person talking about, Mothman. Maybe I'll have somebody, a life coach on there like Michelle Barone from Ocean Grace Coaching. I've had her on. I'll probably have her on again. Amazing woman. I want to help people. I want to help people learn. And that's why I do my show, is to help people. And not only do I help other people, a lot of times I get educated myself. I advise myself while I'm doing this. So it's, it's a win-win situation.
So I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
So think about this very seriously, because it's a very serious question. So if you were to travel in time, would you rather go forward or back? And why?
At one time, I would have said, not saying, I would have said back to fix that day that I had that first paranormal experience. But if I would have done that, I would not have gained all of the knowledge that I have gained to this point so that I can help others. So I can't do that. Now, skipping ahead to the future, that's going to tell me everything that happens between now and then, which is, again, going to take away my learning ability. I will just have that knowledge without going through the lessons. Therefore, I will have to go through the lessons anyway. Mm-hmm. And they will probably be stacked up like, okay, fine, you did this. Here it all is. So I think I would just like to go to tomorrow. And I do that every night when I go to sleep.
So that's a good answer. We spent half of our show last Tuesday on that question about going forward or back.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good way to get to know a person is what they would do. And
asking what he thinks everybody said.
Yeah, what do you think most people said?
Back.
Everybody said
Everyone.
back.
Yep.
Yeah, so they could go change this, or they could go change that.
I would like to go back, not to really change anything, but to see it in my eyes now.
That would be interesting.
Because how would I see my dad screwing around on my mom? Mm-hmm. How would I see my dad being murdered now, knowing what I know now at that time?
Yeah.
I know that my dad being murdered, no, it wasn't a great thing. But you know what? It must have been meant to be, because my parents had just separated and we were the only kids that I knew that mom couldn't say, I'm going to send you to live with your dad. We had to behave.
If you look hard enough, there is a reason for everything.
Oh, I know.
There is as they say, silver lining to everything. There is at least one good thing you can find that comes out of everything. Sometimes you have to sit in the dark in order to find it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, with the house fire, I had to sit in the dark for a long time, but I found all the blessings. Some things, like that sign right there, mm-hmm. should not be here. That is where the fire came up through the floor, out of the basement, went up that wall. That sign with vinyl letters on it was in the flames. One end is just a little charred. The letters are still there. This bronze cross over here should have melted. Mm-hmm. I cleaned it up. It's hanging on my wall. Pictures that my daughter painted me that should have burned up in the flames. They survived. I still have them. Mm-hmm. Some things that my son made me survived. I still have them. I was allowed to keep what was very important to me. Mm-hmm. Everything else in my life was from my past, and it needed to go. I was actually in the process of doing that, cleaning the house out, top to bottom, going through old papers. I found stuff I had from high school that I really didn't need anymore.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get it cleaned out. And because I just had too much stuff. And spiritually, I'm going to help you. And I got to go through everything. What didn't get burned was ruined by smoke damage, water damage, mold, etc. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't really keep hardly anything in here. My doors, my bookcases, and like I said, a few personal items was all I was able to save. Everything else I had to pick up, take a picture of, write down on a piece of paper, look up the value of what it would cost to replace that. I had 173 pages of items for the insurance company. So that added insult to injury. Not only did I have to deal with losing everything, I had to pick it up and look at it. I had to take a picture of it. I had to write down what it was, remember everything about that.
Quit showing me that. I can't scratch my back.
Sorry. And it was a process, but it actually helped me heal, because once I did that, I picked that item up, took a picture of it, wrote it down. I had to take it outside and throw it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
I don't have a tenth of what I had, and it's too much.
Yeah.
If I'm looking for something, I can't find it.
We're going through, when we moved, we got rid of a lot of crap. We didn't get rid of enough crap. And I have all these pictures that my kids did from the time that they were little to the time they left high school. And I told Ron, I said, I'm just going to take pictures of all of it, put it on a flash drive for each one of them.
There.
And then they can have it, but they don't have to have these huge boxes of stuff. They can have this little flash drive. Yeah. And if they don't want it, then we can keep them somewhere. But that's what I've already started taking pictures of stuff that I'm getting rid of.
It's a good idea.
It's it's the only, I mean, it's the only way that, the kid that lives in Vegas, we know that someday she's going to move. She's not going to want to take these boxes from our house to there, then somewhere else. So this way I can just get rid of them and not feel guilty because I have them.
Yeah.
And it also, you know what? I'll see them, remember it, and go, oh, well, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I got to remember it this other time. But yeah, we've probably got 15 boxes or more in the garage of just their stuff from preschool to.
Yeah. I kept all of my kids' homework, every art project they did, and I went through it all, and I kept what, I felt would be important to them and said, hey, this is what my mom did for me. Do you want this?
Yeah. Like I said, I've got proof.
Yeah.
And I will be getting rid of all that stuff if they don't want it. So I'm done.
Amazingly enough, one thing that survived was a picture of a dinosaur that I painted when I was in school. I think I still have it in the garage somewhere.
Yeah, like I said, it's just, I think we all should go through all that stuff, look at it, and see how important it is. And, because when we pass, our kids aren't going to want to go through all that crap.
No.
So
no, and it is a burden on them.
Yep. And like I said, that's why I'm just going to take pictures of all this stuff, and that way they, Lacey gets one, Lindsay, Lauren, Leah, and we're done.
Yeah.
And so there you go, Barbara. You can do the same thing. Flash drive it, and they have one little key ring that they got to take home.
Yeah.
So where can everybody find you?
Facebook, the Otter's Den. We go live off the Riff Nation Network with Howie Odell. We have several shows that we do. Love Shack on Saturday mornings. I jump on there sometimes. Orion Effect. I'm going to forget most of them, so just go check out the page. So Otter's Den on every other Monday night. Tonight, naturally, since I'm here, is my off night. So this coming Monday, me and Joni will be on. We do Paranormal Outlaws the first Saturday of every month. Me, Renee here, Howie Odell, and Jim Livingston. We just get on there and talk about anything and everything, and we state our opinions, and we don't care what you think of us. Within nice parameters. Let's see, and then Spirit Mechanics. We will be in I can never say the word, Lexington, Kentucky this year. I'm going. Renee's going. We're going to be there this year doing the thing. Spirit Mechanics has a booth, and come down, get your chakras did, get your past life regression did. Come down, we give free hugs. Come on down, see us, and get some work done. We'll help you out.
One day we will go to Scarefest. We couldn't before because we had kids, and now we're a little bit further away. Actually, I don't know. Are we further away from Lexington or closer? Don't know.
It's
probably about the same.
It's a 12-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that far, but hi, Mom and Aunt Janet.
Hello.
Yep. Ron's mom is in here. And,
nice.
Ron's Aunt Janet. So
nice.
I would like to thank everybody for listening today and joining us. We had a great time. We had a lot of listeners and that came and went, and I'm just so glad they got to. Join me tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Central when I'm on with Carl and Ron, and we will be talking to Charles Fort. He's going to be coming on. I call him Charlie. So does Ron's mom. So Charlie's going to come on, and we're going to have a good time just talking about whatever pops up. And, hey, Dan. And so make sure you join us tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Central on the Bill of Rights Network, on Rumble, on Facebook, wherever you want to find us. Try to find us, and we'll be there. And if you can't, send me a message. I'll tell you where to go. It's my favorite thing. I love telling people where to go. So,
but one more thing again. real quick, Cheryl, I already mentioned it, but again, October 1st, Lincoln, Nebraska, Jojo Theater, 12 or 1 o'clock p.m. The premiere of Cheryl's movie, 1 in 6 million. You can see me in that movie.
Yes, please, everybody go check that out. If, like I said, go back to the show with Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher and you'll get more information. If you need more information than what we share during that, make sure you contact her and she will tell you whatever it is you need to know and what she's willing to share.
Yes. But and if you'd like a DVD, private message Cheryl, she will get you fixed up.
Please. And you guys have a great night, and I'll see you all next Monday at 7 p.m. Central right here on the Paranormal Pride on the Bill of Rights Network. Good night.